Hey everyone! So I wanted to continue Mattias DeStefano's vlog on temple, and today this is part 2 of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start defining what temple means and how your body is the temple. So and we're going to compare it to the law of one as we normally do. So the question you must ask yourself is, why call the body a temple? That is, what is a temple? The me says it's true. We usually refer to the temple as a sacred space normally built by architects where statues of gods or saints are placed, or also places for prayer and reflection where sacred constructions honor the divine. The soy says, although at the beginning of human times they were not constructions but spaces, let us then look at the history of the first temple. The me says, what was the first temple? The I am says, heaven. The me says, oh, I didn't expect that. The I am says, in the ancient times, totemic and animistic cultures understood that the divine inhabited all things and existed in all of nature. The unattainable and untouchable, invisible, was even more representative of the divine because there was the inexplicable heaven. The stars, the sun, the moon, the shooting stars were part of the magic, and the only ones capable of reaching it were birds. And in the last vlog, I was talking about how I never understood the empress of the catalyst, the mind complex, because there's a bird pointing right at the empress's like eyes, nose, so like third chakra, or sorry, the third eye ish. And I never understood that, but this here will explain what that means. So birds, the birds were the only ones that could communicate with the codes, get close enough to talk to them and bring messages to the world of the living. That's interesting how they use the word codes. That really like struck me, because there's a lot of numerical codes, quantum codes. There's a lot of codes like numerical numbers. Even the internet is built on codes. So I thought it was very interesting that this word was used. If you have any comments on it, or you find it interesting, let me know what you're thinking. So he says the birds were the only ones that could communicate with the codes. Oh, with the gods. You guys, I'm sorry. I had to have like a little bit of mouth surgery here, and I'm losing it a little bit, I think. So it doesn't say codes, it says gods. The birds were the only ones that could communicate with the gods, get close enough to talk to them, and bring messages to the world of the living. The Yo says, this is why so many cultures put the condor, eagle, hawk, vulture on so many other birds that fly high in the place of messengers of God, or the very divinity body incarnate. So this, in the last vlog, I pointed out all of the birds. So we have the wings here on the significator of the mind complex. Then we have wings here on the body complex of the catalyst, which is, I think it's the wheel of chakras now. Wheel of choice possibly, but more so wheel of chakras, or chakra wheel. And then I found one more set of wings that I hadn't noticed before. Oh, it was on the chariot, the great way of the mind complex, the chariot, which I also believe the chariot is also the DNA. You know how the DNA strand twists? Because in Hebrew, the chariot is a ladder, and when you turn the ladder around, it actually, and fold it 3D, it actually turns into a DNA strand. Okay, so let's go back to the vlog, or blog. That is why so many cultures put the eagle, hawk, vulture, many of the birds that fly high, in the place of messengers of God, or very divine body incarnate. The I Am says, and their flight encoded the messages. They created the language. Thus, shamans used bird feathers to obtain or demonstrate divine wisdom, and scribes captured. Sorry, let me read that again. Thus, shamans used bird feathers to obtain or demonstrate divine wisdom, and scribes captured sacred texts by dipping ink into bird feathers. That's crazy. They could communicate, and they would translate how the ink was formed on bird feathers. The feathers had the information from the heavens. That's nuts. So I don't know why, but right now I got a picture in my mind's eye of the chariot, great way of the mind. So these bird feathers, wings, are between, the circle here is right between shadow, yin and yang, shadow and light, and it runs right up the middle of his chakras, the circle does, while the wings are on both sides. I think that represents balance, perhaps. I've never seen it this way before. It's my first time. I'm not sure. Let me know what you think. So the me says, it makes sense to think about it that way, of course. The I Am says, the observation of birds in the skies was a way of interpreting what the gods had in store for the world. The shamans, priests used to sit for hours throwing questions to the heavens, waiting for the birds to bring answers. In Latin, the Romans had an exact term for this action, avis spicium, bird watching, which became commonly called auspicious. Me, sponsorship. Today has two meanings, Soy says, but the same origin. Sponsorship comes from a sign or indication that is taken as an announcement or notice of a future event. Since the people who had an undertaking, whether it was a construction, a battle, or the making of a decision, asked the question to the heavens, and the birds would mark the signs of whether it was a good day to do it or not. Wow, I didn't know birds were so important. It makes sense now. In our current times, we understand this word as someone who puts faith in a venture and supports it so that it succeeds, which gave us the idea of a sponsor who trusts that it will turn out well. The me says, there are words that never cease to surprise me in the strangeness of their origin. The I Am says, help us understand what we are based on. And speaking of fundamentals, these ancients had a revelation. The places where the birds gave signals normally seem to be strategic places where the gods communicated with the world. Sites where birds repeatedly made spiral flights ascending, spiral flights descending, were ancient. That's where the gods communicated, where the birds made spiral ascending and spiral descending, was where the gods communicated. This marked strategic places for observations. In this way, the priests ordered the space to be opened, fell trees if necessary, cut the mountains if necessary, in order to have a better point of view and observe the messages of these birds with greater quality. Amazing. That's how temples were created? What? Thus, this cut or opening of space was considered a window for heaven on earth. A window. A window, a window, a window. So the window is the emperor. Is it in Hebrew? I learned this somewhere. So the experience, the mind complex, the emperor, love and understanding, the tesseract of the heart, is the window. see. The Emperor is H-E-I, Hey, Aries, vision, breath, or window. Vision, reasoning, power. So is the window the heart chakra? When the mind and the heart are in cohesion, they start working together, and then you access the back of your spinal cord, the head and the spine attach, and then there's a spark, and they start working in unity. I don't know. Where were we? Okay, so this marked the strategic places for observation, and remember, the Emperor is observation. It's where it's your personal consciousness, but it's observation. You begin to observe your personal consciousness. In this way, the priest ordered the space to be opened, fell trees if necessary, cut the mountains if necessary, in order to have a better point of view and observe the messages of these birds with greater quality. Thus, this cut or opening of space was considered a window from heaven on earth. In Indo-European languages, cutting or opening a space is called tem, with the addition of suffixes and prefixes. The me says, so contemplating does not describe looking, but rather the space created to look. The soy says, yes, it is a word that talks about from where, not to where. Over time, the priest decided to live in those cut spaces where the gods would be honored and offerings would be made. In this way, the temlo became a temple. Temple. Okay. A place where the priests called auguras lived. Its name comes from ugare, which means to increase, expand. And this gave rise to the name Ugur as an omen, something that announces the future, because they were consulted by kings and emperors to tell them, give good omens for growth. Okay, that's why the kings and queens started coming to priests, to foresee the future and give good omens. The me says a very different story than what I imagined about the words. The soy says, what did you expect? The me says something more magical, not so logical or concrete. But anyway, it puts my feet on the ground about what a temple is. The soy says, oh, of course, yes, because the temples speak of the materialization of the divine, of placing God's feet in the world. Ta, creator of the gods, established the places and ways in which they could come down to earth in a certain way, the way in which his own body would be able to communicate in creation. So the body is our temple. His own body would be able to communicate in creation. His own body. The temple then would communicate with matter through these sacred sites. These temples in matter, yeah, so birds, nature. Oh, his body. The spirit then would communicate with matter through the sacred sites, these temples in matter, his body. The spirit then would communicate with matter, the organs in the body, the body. So that's how spirit communicates to you, is through your body, your organs. That's how matter, the matter is us. Here you're closed off, the body complex of the potentiator. You're drowned with the subconscious mind. When you start opening up the body complex, you open up your chakras, you clean up your organs through diet and mind, thought, positive thought. You can start your spirit, your significant self, your I am, can begin to communicate with the body. The body surrenders. Possibly, I don't know. And the me says, you can come. The me says, what you are trying to say is that in the same way this tradition says that temples are the spaces in which the heavens descend their messages, as the spirit speaks with the body, our consciousness would communicate with us through the organs. As spirit communicates through the body, here's the spirit complex, is communicating through the body, consciousness. Oh my God, the sun card, that's consciousness. You, as spirit communicates through the body and you're deeply surrendered, look at the grapes, the poles neutralize. There's no time, space, there's no yin yang. And then you get the information from the sun. The electric, the thought is consciousness. Feelings are magnetic. Feelings are here. The moon card. Which, yeah. Wow, okay. And for this reason, you need to know the temples that make up your Hatkata, the initiatory path in your life, the biological body that is the house of the creative spirit that lives in you. So this here, the body complex of the mind, of the potentiator, of the matrix, of the potentiator, of the catalyst, of the experience, of the significator, of transformation, of the great way, is just the house, not just, it's a very important just, of the spirit complex, the devil, the tower, the faith card, the moon, the sun, judgment, and the world. And for this reason, you must sponsor its messages, and you must augurate its development, understanding each part, each place, each fragment of that heaven in you, in each of your courts of your temples. My body is the divine temple of consciousness, yes. You can sit here, Mom. You're fine, just walk that way, it's fine. All along the Nile, various temples connected the body in the Atlantean era, today most non-existent after 12,000 years of history. However, some of them remain reconstructed from Egyptian and Greco-Roman times. To understand the body of Ptah, we will visit the temples that still stand, such as Abu Simbel, Philia, Qom, Ombo, Edfu, Luxor, Karnak, Dundira, Abydos, Tel El Amarna, Dashur, Saqqara, and Giza. These 12 territories will remind us of the essence of the path, traveling in from north to south, descending from heaven on earth. You know what? This reminds me of right here. The 12 simple letters corresponding to the zodiac are all these guys here. I don't know what the connection is yet, but I'm going to put, it's the 12 zodiac, basically. I bet you those 12 temples are aligned with these 12 zodiacs like pyramids on Earth. In order to get the energy and the information from these star systems, because that's what our archetypes are here on Earth. I feel like that's what it is. That's why they survive. And in our temple, what are those 12 temples? So the way we connect to the zodiac is through our organs, and the organs that we connect with in order to get information from those archetypes, because at the end of the day, the most prominent archetype that you're born into is whatever your sun sign is, right? That's going to be most prominent. That's going to be your karma. That's going to be all of the chakra wheels are always going to spin to the emotions of that archetype. That's magnetically, that's just what it is. But realistically, we are all 12 zodiac. Once you realize that, you become more magnetic with all the light coming from all the zodiac. And how does that happen? When you start utilizing your endocrine system efficiently. So the connection, the temples, the 12 temples within your body are your biological systems. So going through the nervous, endocrine, circulatory, respiratory, immune, digestive, excretory, lymphatic, reproductive, bone, muscular, integumentary, so your skin. Those are the 12 major systems that the light, the wisdom from the 12 zodiac come through. Our biology, the I Am says, and the meaning of it, because these temples that are our bodies are the pillars between heaven and earth, bridges, portals, the windows of communication between the divine and the mundane, manifestation of the soul, will of the spirit. So these are the portals. These are the nodes that our body communicates through. So it's your biological system. These 12 need to connect with the 12 zodiac, from how I see it. Recognize yourself as an architect of your body, and remember that you are an artist of creation. It is time to understand the temple you have created in order to communicate with the universe that you are. The me says, I'm ready to understand the temple that I am. Open the doors. Ganathi Sutan. Know thyself, and you will know the universe. That's beautiful. I think naturally what I'm going to do, the next 12 vlogs that we do are going to be on these 12 systems, and I'm going to compare them to the 12 zodiac. Hopefully that'll give you, everybody that's on a spiritual path, some clarity. I love you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed that. Bye.